Whenever I say my PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
All right, so Boga is back. American Boga is back in town.
Boga is reserved for Germany.
From Norton to the USA. You saw him in his jacket and all that. The man is back. I'm told that he's taking over from Anas Arimia Anas. So we now from Tiger we have SOA.
What's that?
SOA. Don't you see his documents? They now have watermarks. SOA.
SOA means what?
Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Yes, private investigators. Is it a picture? See in America. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is a ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee and also the Member of Parliament for the Norton constituency. The son of man is back in town and is here with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Doc. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. You left town quietly because you were on a mission. You didn't want to alert anybody.
Not at all.
And you made sure that you released your pictures when you had landed in Ghana.
Yeah, for good reason.
Okay.
I know you are particular about my safety, so I had to do that for you. And Nana, good to see you. It's been a long time, Nana. How are you doing?
Son of man.
Yes.
I like your new look.
Oh, you mean my glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah, they help my reading. Yeah.
You look good in it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there a pre-presidential look?
You mean you want me to put my hat in the ring?
But now you are late for 2024.
Yeah.
So 2020.
It's not late.
No, it's not late.
2 more weeks.
Yeah, nominations have not been
Nominations will be.
No.
You wouldn't advise.
No. But if you were going to do it, you'd have done it 2 years ago. A strategist like you. So we're waiting for 2028.
Okay. Gamache.
Anyway, sorry. So I saw you beaming with smiles at the precincts of the court building, and you were excited with your lawyers and party executives and other people. You were saved from going to jail
For 2 weeks.
Yeah, you are right, Doc. I will have been in jail today, isn't it? I will have missed the show.
I would have come
and I will have been waiting for your visit. I don't know what Nana will have brought me.
You know what I have brought you.
But I'm not too sure. I like everything that you have, in your custody. But let me thank the good people of Ghana. The support has been overwhelming. Massive solidarity. Really, the irony is that we are only doing our work, carrying out our oversight mandate, making sure that the responsibility that the good people of Ghana have given us, we deliver on that responsibility. You are not sent to Parliament to just go and warm the benches. You are to carry out due diligence. When documents are presented to you, you must analyze those documents. You must go a step further and ascertain for yourself if the claims on the face of it are genuine, are really what the documents say they are. And you must also go beyond documentation, go beyond just mere reports. Don't be armchair. You should get to the field. You should constantly be pursuing your constitutional mandate of oversight to interrogate, to investigate, to validate before you grant approval. Because we are talking about the public purse. We are talking about the resources of the country. And that's a serious exercise. You shouldn't just be there as a zombie or some puppet and just swallow anything that is put before you, hook, line, and sinker. You must make sure that you are really carrying out your mandate. And so in the pursuit of that, you do know that this National Cathedral matter, which is a very, very significant project, and I say significant because of the cost involved. It did start as a private project. The president had assured that they wouldn't use public funds. But we know that there has been a major transition. It has now metamorphosed into a full-scale national project without our input, if you like, without our acceptance. There's been no national debate, no parliamentary debate, but whether we like it or not, documents we have intercepted show that copious amounts of public funds. And the last time we asked the finance minister to present at the vote of censure committee a detailed brief on how much has been spent so far on the project. I have a copy here of that response. So far, the Ghanaian taxpayer has spent 339 million, 3,064 Ghana cedis, 86 pesos on this project, 339 million. At the time, the exchange rate works out to some $58.1 million. So that is a colossal sum of money, a staggering amount. And so when you have public funds being used for such a project, and you ask for a breakdown, the breakdown arrives, and you see a suspicious transaction. We are told that a company called JNS has received 2.6 million Ghana cedis, and there is no contract, there's no supporting document. Certainly a diligent member of parliament must delve into those matters, and that's only what I sought to do, to understand how JNS came to receive 2.6 million Ghana cedis. In the pursuit of that oversight mandate, it opened a can of worms. We now know that JNS is a company that belongs to Kwabena Edujemfi, who had sat on the National Cathedral board as Victor Kusibuatin, and virtually made those payments to himself. So definitely this matter raises major issues of conflict of interest, insider dealing, and general accountability questions that have to be answered. And that's only what I was doing. But clearly there was an attempt to gag the Son of Man. There's an attempt to intimidate, use all kinds of judicial gymnastics, if you like, to see if I could be silenced. But I'm glad that this week we had victory. The judge was very clear that the whole arrangement, the attempt to serve me was unconstitutional. It was clearly an entrapment. The persons who came to these premises to serve me were not bailiffs of the court. They're not officers of the court. A search was conducted at the court registry, and no court official had been sent to serve me. It's still a mystery who those guys are and who did the recording. The whole thing was clearly a setup, and the judge had some very strong words for that kind of that whole kind of shenanigan. Then there was also the issue of irregularities, inconsistencies, and then the breach of the Chief Justice's order, a directive to all the courts that no originating process should be served by people who are not bailiffs, who are not officers of the court. So the judgment has been well received, very erudite, very sound judgment, and we can only thank the Almighty that all has gone well. I would like to particularly thank the MP's caucus. They were very supportive. Leadership, Honorable Bua was always representing leadership in court. Honorable Reverend, also Honorable Roxanne, Honorable, Gakpe, so many of them who were with us in court. I want to thank the leadership of our party. The national chairman was always calling to encourage me. General Mosquito, the Honorable Fifi Kwete was always in court with us. He was very, very supportive. He didn't miss a sitting. And I want to thank Comrade Fifi for the brotherly support, our regional executives, and certainly chiefs and people of North Tongue. I mean, always asking for court dates, always surprising me with their presence. I thought some of them were a bit too old and should just have rested at home, but they insisted on coming to the Accra High Court. So I want to thank all of them, the chiefs and people of North Tongue, my constituency chairman, CKT, a very busy accountant, but he made time to be in court with us, the executives of the constituency, the legal team, at law. They were very dynamic, very dedicated. I want to thank all of them, and certainly my dear pastors who were in strong solidarity across various denominations. I want to express my profound gratitude. And to you at Metro TV, you know, I knew about the content the first time from you. You called me that you have the documents, and this is what is contained. They don't want a fine, they don't even want an apology. All they want is that I should be committed to prison. You were the first person to read that to me. And you've also been very, very supportive, Metro TV, your reporters, all your, infomercials and infographs about the case, keeping the public abreast with developments in the courtroom. I owe all of you tons of gratitude. Yeah, so I'm very, very grateful. Though Nana didn't call me, I know he probably said a prayer for me, maybe a 5-second prayer for me. I want to believe so.
I was waiting for you to go to jail.
So he
would advise people.
No, I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that.
No, but
yes,
Sammy,
Yeah.
you said that people who served you the papers, they
Yes.
were not court bailiffs.
Yes, they are not officers of the court.
So those people, where are they?
Nobody knows.
Because they must be on video.
Yes, yes. But, so that they came with the video.
Yes, so I'm saying they must be on video, so they can't be identified. Because if it's illegal for non-bailiffs to serve court documents, and these non-bailiffs are on video, we should be able to find them and ask them a thing or two. I was a little
so that's the video. You see
when
that
when I saw you stepping on the papers. That's where I was a little shocked. But why did you step on the papers?
No, I mean, I was extremely provoked. I mean, I was asking the gentleman, who are you? You know, and he wouldn't tell me. He just says, I have documents. I said, what documents? You know, just let me know. You know, what? Then he just threw it at me. So I lost my cool. And I said, that's not me. That's not, you know. It was an unfortunate issue, but the way he just threw it at me and the disrespect, I felt so disrespected. And, you know, and I was driving myself. I thought I should just kick it out of my way and drive off. Yeah, but I lost my cool, really. I felt so disrespected because he wouldn't identify himself. He wouldn't tell me who has sent him, what he's here for. And
it really was deliberate for them
threw
to
it
have
at
come.
me. Yeah.
And then
it was a whole setup.
Came with cameras.
Yeah.
It was a deliberate setup. And then right after that, they put it out on social media.
Yeah.
And even tried to create the impression that these were footages from our CCTV. You know, it was unfortunately for them, I think they were not even smart at it, because from what I read from the judge, he says that there was even a conflicting narrative as to what actually happened.
Yes.
In one breath, they say they threw it in the car. In another breath, they threw it at him and the kick. So even their story was not consistent with respect to what happened in terms of serving the process.
But you know, they couldn't provide the proof of service.
Yes.
The judge asked them to, because when you say you have served, let's have the proof of service. They couldn't provide that. So the whole thing was just,
Because the people were not bailiffs, they were court officials.
Yes.
Apparently, there had been a directive from the Chief Justice that these processes must be served by bailiffs known to the court. And so that's an issue that your lawyers raised.
Yes.
Because they had done their search and found out that those who did that thing at our premises were not. And of course, they were able to find that.
So then the court should look at giving ID cards to bailiffs.
Okay. I also escaped going to jail just a few weeks ago on a GFA issue.
Yeah. But there was
even a mini trial. I was put in the dock and
You don't mean it?
Yes, there was a mini trial. I was put in the dock and cross-examined. Yes.
Over what?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Over this, the punishment meted out to Ash Gold over match fixing or something. Same thing. The claims that they served the FA through me at the FA's premises and all that. So we have been going to court. I was put in the dock. Yes, there was a mini trial. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. And sat down listening to the judgment from the judge. I think it's Justice Abudaki. Quite a detailed. I mean, my first time sitting in court and going through judgment like that. That's not the first time I've been in court, but over a quasi-criminal issue. I mean, the only time I've been to court was in a civil matter.
Match fixing.
Yes, over match fixing.
Wow.
And this was supposed to be a suit against the GFA, an injunction on the league or something. Yes, and about 13 of us were cited, but I was the one who was cited as having been served.
Wow.
Yes. I'm telling you, no joke. Standing in the dock after
you were served properly.
No, that was their claim. But at the end of the day, the judge agreed that they couldn't prove their case. So I was acquitted and discharged.
Good to hear.
Two of my colleagues were sentenced to a day in prison
for
over the issue, over some comments that the judge said he had made on the social media and some media interviews. And
you were acquitted on what grounds?
On the grounds that I wasn't served.
Not on the match fixing.
No, that I was engaged in match fixing.
So what's happened to the substantive case of the?
It's in court. As for the match fixing, the GFA is taking a decision. An aggrieved party is sued the GFA.
Okay.
And you came in where?
And then when they sued the GFA, then I think they got an injunction from the courts. Okay. And they said they tried to serve it on the FA. And so they went to court and said that the FA was in contempt because they had served the injunction of the FA and the FA went ahead to play the league.
The league or the match?
The league. They had served an injunction on the commencement of the league until the determination of their matter.
Wow.
So that was it. So we've been in court from last year, a little break for the World Cup. We came to continue. Yes. So
well, it's good to hear that.
On that day, incidentally, I met Madam.
Oh.
Well, I met her when I was going. Are you in trouble again? I said, same old GFA.
I remember there was a time that she was your lawyer.
Yes. Same GFA. Anyway,
it's your passion. So, but let me use this opportunity to clarify that cost of 10,000 Ghana cedis was awarded.
Yes.
So many people are calling me.
Is it to you? The report said to you.
Yes, I'm awarded against, but it will go through a process. I haven't received that money.
Well, people want their share.
And people some say let's party and all of that, but it will be donated to charity. I just want to,
give it as an offering.
To clarify that.
Your church, give it as an offering.
It will certainly be donated. So it's not. I'm not.
Why not donate it to
we are not doing this for
monetary gain. Why not donate it to the National Cathedral? They're still raising funds.
Not with what I have seen. No, I don't think that money will go into the project if I give it to them. So something better. Maybe Osu Children's Home or some from those who really need charity, not National Cathedral.
Okay. So we'll be getting to the bombshell. I'm sure that you are aware that the National Cathedral of Ghana has responded to the issues that you have raised.
Yes.
We'll be getting to that as well. But Nana, I haven't done something that I normally do because you haven't been around in a while, and because you've not been around, we've not heard a lot. How is STC? And have you recovered from your semi-unconsciousness over the last 3 years or so?
The situation is certainly getting better. The international borders, land borders, are now fully opened since February this year. Yeah. Ghana opened.
But there are this Francophone.
The Francophonie opened, but the Francophonie transport business is centered on Abidjan.
Okay.
Because for this Togo, Burkina, Cotonou, what was the name? Benin.
Yes.
The commercial traffic is to Abidjan. Abidjan is like the capital of the. So when Abidjan is closed, or Cote d'Ivoire is closed, basically the traffic is closed. But Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire opened in February, I think. So since February, the international traffic is back. And the international traffic constitutes about a third of the business. So for 2.5 years, having 1/3 of the business shut off was quite traumatic. But more importantly, the fuel price seems to be stable. And the business basically depends on fuel. If you take, in the last quarter of last year, fuel was about 62% of our revenue, when it went to 23 cedis 50 pesos.
You mean your cost?
Well, if you went to Kumasi and you took 44 passengers and you took 80 cedis from them, and then the fuel is about 2.3 kilometers per liter, and so you calculated your fuel. Out of that fare that you get, the 80 cedis times 44, 60% of it goes for fuel. So you are left with 40% for everything else. Depreciation, salaries, everything. When I went there in 2017, for that 3-year period between 2017 to 2019, fuel was about 27%. That's why we were doing so many things, and everybody was talking about STC. We paid the government about $2 million. We're paying all our creditors, the banks, and that's how we managed to leverage our balance sheet to get 100 buses. At that time, for those 3 years, because of the stable macro, the city was stable, fuel prices were stable, and so fuel was about 27% of our revenue. But now it's come down to about 57 from 62. So it's still. And we have suggested strongly, even the president himself, when we met at one of the meetings, CEOs and the president, that what we are looking for is a benchmark that will say something like 10% rise in the price of fuel will trigger, let's say, a 6% rise in fares. So there's a 10%, 6% relationship. That's all that we want. So the business should not depend on whether fuel is coming down or going up. There's stability, and you can plan, and then of course, when the CD loses value, it's not just fuel, but spare parts. And we buy spare parts. You buy 200 brake pads at a time. You buy in oil in drums and all of that. In the last quarter of last year, others that we have made and paid for the people came back and said we had to come and pay more, otherwise they couldn't supply, because at the time we made the order, the city was, say, 12 cities, it's now 15 cities, and they can't supply. And so they can refund your money back to you. And so we had to look for a lot of extra money, because if the brake pads don't come, the oils don't come, you can run the transport. So it's getting better. It's now coming down. The fuel component of the cost is coming down. If it comes down to about 40, we are hoping for that, then we will have a margin that will allow us to operate profitably.
All right. Okay, so Sammy, back to the issues. After your sojourn in the U.S., you released the National Cathedral's USA bombshell. And I guess that there were some 4 key issues that you raised. One has to do with the registration under a different name. The second one had to do with the address being fraudulent. The other one had to do with no member or clergy on the Ghana Board of Trustees listed. And then the other one has to do with identity of 2 unknown men in the incorporation documents. Now, the National Cathedral has, in a May 2, 2023 press release, I was going to say answered or clarified, but they've responded to your issues. Now, there's a paragraph 2 that I'll start with. When they speak about the attention, and it says, as the Secretariat has always argued, issues of accountability are critical to a project of this nature. Consequently, it is legitimate and welcome parliamentary oversight of state resources in a project. However, we insist again that parliamentary oversight is not exercised on social media, but in Parliament or through statutory bodies established for the purpose. Consequently, the Secretariat is determined not to be drawn into or engage in a constant tit-for-tat social media war on the project. But as and when necessary, the Secretariat will provide information and or clarification on different aspects of a project. This is what we seek to do in this response to the so-called bombshells, in quote, from the USA. Okay, so I now know why you have not responded to the issues I raised about how you use one identity to incorporate a company and then use the different identity to issue a state document to the same person for purposes of working on the project. Okay, this explains why you have not responded to that, I guess. Anyway, so number 1, bombshells from the USA. It says the first reported bombshell is that the cathedral project is registered in Washington under a different name. For the record, the National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated is not the USA branch office of the National Cathedral of Ghana. Rather, it is a special purpose vehicle created for the specificities of the U.S. fundraising needs of the National Cathedral project. The foundation was and is strictly a mechanism for fundraising in the U.S. And the 2 issues for which we are fundraising in the U.S. are I, the National Cathedral of Ghana, and II, the Bible Museum. And this is clearly seen from the Form 990-EZ Part 3, which clearly states the foundation's primary exempt purpose as to raise funds to support the construction and maintenance of the National Cathedral of Ghana in Accra. And please, for those of us watching, please underline maintenance. Please do, underline maintenance. And a museum commemorating the history of the Christian church in Africa. In effect, the so-called difference in name reflects the 2 areas of fundraising in the U.S., National Cathedral and Bible Museum. The transition to a full-fledged representation will be a process led by the Board of Directors in Ghana and with input from the Attorney General. This will involve a reconstitution of the current board. The second bombshell is that the address of U.S. registration documents is fraudulent. This bombshell, in quote, unfortunately stems from a basic but fundamental lack of knowledge of the U.S. non-profit sector. A non-profit organization needs a registered agent in the state of the registration. That is why on the incorporation document, it is referred to as registered agent's name and address in the District of Columbia. The DC address is a holding address, in quotes, which he receives notices from the regulatory authorities and forwards them to the non-profit. In the case of the National Cathedral, this holding address receives notices and forwards them to our attorney, who incorporated the foundation and whose name and address is NR7 of the incorporation document. Rather than being fraudulent, this process is used by thousands of non-profits and businesses. The next bombshell is that no member or clergyman on the Ghana Board of Trustees is listed in the U.S. incorporation documents. To recap, for emphasis, the National Cathedral's U.S. tax-exempt foundation, the National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated, is a special purpose vehicle set up primarily for fundraising. The current board is an interim board set up by the Secretariat and our U.S. consultant for registration purposes. A full U.S. board will be constituted later by the board in Ghana to align with the January 6, 2022 opinion of the Attorney General on the legal status of the National Cathedral. Before I go on, Honorable Ablakwa, I just need a quick answer to a question and then I'll move on. When was this this foundation incorporated in the U.S.? Date?
It was incorporated, I have here the certificate to commence operations.
Yes.
It's dated May 3, 2021.
2021.
Yes.
Okay. So what the board is saying is that this special purpose vehicle was set up in May 2021.
Yeah.
And that it was an interim board. And the intention is to set up a full and proper board. Yes. And from May 2021 till January 6, 2022, that had not been done. And from January 6, 2022, when the opinion of the Attorney General was given, till today, May 5, 2023, that has also not been done.
2 years on.
All right. Now, as I says, the fourth bombshell is the identity of two unknown men in the U.S. incorporation documents. First, incorporation documents are public documents, and hence the identities of those behind the registration of the National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated cannot be secret. Second, these are two well-placed Ghanaians in the USA who have shown commitment to the National Cathedral project since its beginning. The first is a New York-based Ghanaian attorney, Eric Okudzeto. Mr. Okudzeto is a lawyer admitted to practice both in Ghana and New York. He also holds a master's degree in international business and trade law and has provided numerous assistance to the Ghana embassy in New York over the years. He was the first in the U.S. to arrange a meeting in January 2018 with potential funders for the project in New York. He subsequently brought some potential New York funders to visit the project in 2021. Despite the incessant misinformation and distortions around the project, this group still remain interested in the project. The second unknown, Dr. Vernon Daku, unrelated to Eric Okudzeto, is an accomplished Ghanaian businessman based in Houston, Texas, the west coast of the U.S. Dr. Daku previously served on the U.S. Exim Bank's Sub-Saharan African Advisory Committee, an entity established by the U.S. Congress to provide expert policy guidance and strengthen bank support for U.S. Africa export activities. He also served on the bilateral U.S. Arab Chamber of Commerce Africa Insight Committee Board of Advisors on the Greater Houston Partnership World Trade and Africa Committee as chairman of its executive board. As a member of the U.S. Exim Bank Sub-Saharan Africa Advisory Committee, played advisory roles in the establishment of Ghana's Exim Bank. He has shown exceptional commitment to the National Cathedral project since its inception in 2017. He introduced us to one of the major institutional partners of the project, the Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast, whose leadership he brought to Ghana in September 2018 to visit the project. In addition to being a donor, he has also been central to our fundraising efforts on the west coast of the USA, and in fact arranged for the Houston fundraising, attended by the president, to be hosted at a private club of which he is a member. Indeed, it was because of their early and consistent commitment to the National Cathedral project that the Secretariat, and not the government, suggested they be used to incorporate the foundation. One of the requirements for the incorporation is to have a U.S. Social Security number. The two alleged faceless individuals provided the needed legal documentation to enable the registration to be completed. Finally, these two are involved voluntarily with no compensation whatsoever. These are dedicated sons of Ghana, offering to serve their country whenever possible. To impugn malfeasance and question their integrity is extremely irresponsible. Then number 5 says the fate is supposed to be a meeting with the American consultant paid $6 million, akin to the accusations of awarding 34% of the contract figure to the architect, said David J, instead of the 12.5%. This so-called bombshell is a figment of the imagination. As we refuted in a press release of January 7, 2023, no such amount has been paid to Carisamis. The bulk of our expenditure in the U.S. has been to consulting companies who have developed the National Cathedral Bible Museum of Africa. See www.biblemuseumafrica.org. To understand the role of Carisamis and the U.S. consultants, it is important to understand the vision of implementation for the National Cathedral project. Beyond its functions as a space for the formal solemn occasions of state funerals and national interdenominational worship, the vision is to use the National Cathedral project to develop Ghana into a religious hub for religious tourism. The strategy to achieve this has been to engage the best in the world with the best in Ghana. Two key persons are central to this strategy: the world-renowned architect, Sir David J, whose reputation and design of the cathedral has given global visibility to the project, and two, Carisamis, the President Emeritus of the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C., and whose involvement in the project has created global interest in the Bible Museum. As we have indicated, the integration of the Bible Museum, the largest in the world when completed, and the biblical gardens are aimed at transforming Ghana into a hub for international pilgrimage. Okay. So, Sammy?
Yes.
They say that your allegations, as the policeman said, have fallen flat.
The 10 seems quite interesting.
10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk about dressing.
The pettiness of using his casual dressing on his way to his daily cycling to question the credibility of this professional who's been responsible for some of the major religious theme parks in the world and is a major driver of tourism to Israel is not just unfortunate, more worrying. It reflects a problematic attitude that keeps countries like ours poor.
Now, somebody, did you talk about his dressing?
So this was signed by Dr. Polo Poku Mensah, Executive Director of the National Cathedral. Right, Sammy?
Yeah, Doc. After reading the response from the National Cathedral Secretariat, it is clear to me that all of the scandals, the blatant disregard for law, for due process, the issues bordering on corruption, on conflict of interest, the brazen illegality, they are neck deep. And this attempt to defend and to explain away such grave matters is, to say the least, very disingenuous, very laughable, absolutely ridiculous, and very dishonest. I'm going to take my time to expose the falsity and the deliberate distortion in this statement. First, let me deal with the address, the U.S. address of the National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation, Incorporated. If viewers will go on the website of the National Cathedral now, what has been advertised on the website is the address 1090 Vermont Avenue, Northwest, in Washington, D.C. The zip code is 20005. As the center of their operations in the United States of America. And that is the exact address I went to. When I arrived, I had audience with the manager of the facility, and I have her card here, the 74-year-old Karen Smith. The name of the company is Capital Concierge. Capital Concierge. Capital spelled C-A-P-I-T-O-L. Very gracious woman, very transparent. She took me through the entire list of tenants they have at the facility. What emerged clearly is that there is no National Cathedral of Ghana operating at that facility. Neither do they have any agent who purports to be acting for and on behalf of the National Cathedral of Ghana. It's a 12-story building, and she made clear that if you look at the address, you can tell on the face of it that these are people who are not being honest, because the address is incomplete. If they really had an office, there should be a suite number or a specific office number and a floor, because it's a 12-story. And when I went through the list, I saw entities like Bank of America, they have an office there, Verizon, University of Southern California, a real estate entity called Metcat. I have the entire registry, a copy here. You should have a specific office number. They don't have that. Now, let me deal with the issue of we use an agent, and so that office is a holding place,
yes,
which belongs to the agent. Is that not what you are saying?
Yes.
in the statement?
Yes.
And let me just, it said this DC address is a holding address which receives notices from the regulatory authorities and forwards them to the non-profit. In the case of the National Cathedral, this holding address received notices and forwards them to our attorney, who incorporated the foundation, and whose name and address is number 7 on the incorporation document. You know why they didn't state the address? Because they know they are being dishonest. I have sent you copies of the incorporation, the articles of incorporation.
Yes.
Come with me to number 7.
Please put that on the screen.
Number 7, the incorporator's name and address.
Yes.
You have the name Dan Beirut. Number 7. Is it 7th? The 7th is on the second page. 7th, you have the name Dan Beirut. The address there is 9315S Toledo Avenue, Suite B, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa,
Oklahoma.
Yes.
The zip code 74137.
Yeah.
Totally different from the address in Washington, D.C. So they have put out clear falsehood. The agent's address, their lawyer who incorporated the National Cathedral of Ghana in the United States of America, does not have a Washington, D.C. address. So what they have put in this paragraph number 5, what they have told Ghanaians, and National Cathedral of Ghana, you are building the lost temple, and you won't stop the falsehoods and the deliberate distortions. What we have here is an Oklahoma address by number 7, incorporator's name and address. It has absolutely no bearing, no link with the 1090 Vermont Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20005 address.
Let's just clarify something. They say that your accusation is that the address of U.S. registration documents is fraudulent. And they say that a non-profit organization needs a registered agent.
Yes.
In the state of the registration. That is why on the incorporation document it is referred to as registered agent's name and address in the District of Columbia.
Yes.
Okay. Then they say the DC address is a holding address which receives notices from the regulatory authorities and forwards them to the non-profit. In the case of a National Cathedral, this holding address receives notices and forwards them to our attorney who incorporated a foundation whose name and address is number 7 of the incorporation document.
Yes.
Yes. What's your issue with this one?
So the address has nothing to do with Washington, D.C. They are claiming that that is an agent's address, the agent who incorporated on their behalf.
Is it an attorney or
It's the same.
What is your allegation? What was your allegation?
My allegation
Yes.
is that what they have advertised as their address, where you can find the National Cathedral of Ghana when you go to the United States of America. I went there. Go on.
They've advertised it where?
On their website.
Okay.
National Cathedral of Ghana website.
Okay. So that's the DC.
That's DC. 1090 Vermont Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C. The zip code is 20005.
Okay.
On the website, viewers can go on the website
Yes.
of the National Cathedral, and they say, contact us. That's our office. That's where we operate in the United States of America. And I went there. And they told me that there is absolutely nobody. They don't have an office.
So what you're saying is that this does not answer the issue you raised.
It does not. It does not. This response does not
Because
answer.
you haven't raised an issue about incorporation address.
No.
You raised the issue about
Where you
stated
operate
that
from.
where they operate from,
Where you
which
operate
is
from.
on their website.
On their website. As we speak this morning, I checked. It's still there. National Cathedral of Ghana, U.S. address. And that's where I went. 1090 Vermont Avenue, Northwest.
in Columbia?
In
District of Columbia.
District of Columbia, in Washington. Zip code 2005.
But they didn't give these details in their response.
Yeah, the response when it deals with address or U.S. registration document is fraudulent. So this one is dealing with an accusation you made about U.S. registration documents.
Yes.
Yes.
No, it's dealing with the location, the fact that it's a fraudulent claim on their website that they have an office in Washington, D.C.
address of U.S. registration documents is fraudulent, and that's what they are responding to.
Doc, I don't know if you're understanding the issue. Probably I should state the findings, what I have discovered. First of all, the address as advertised on the National Cathedral of Ghana website, that if you visit the United States of America or for residents in America.
So that's the website.
Yes, this is our address. They say about us. Then you have a United States address on the website. The United States address, you see it clearly, 1090 Vermont Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C. Zip code 20005. That's what has been advertised. I went there, spoke to the managers of the property. There is no National Cathedral of Ghana located there. None of the offices at that 12-story complex is in the name of National Cathedral of Ghana.
You went to the correct address?
Yes, the correct address. I went there. And the manager was gracious to give me her card, Capital Concierge, Karen Smith. And she took me through the entire registry of tenants. Indeed, when I went through, I recall very well that it's only one office that's vacant on the 11th floor, office number 1101. So there is no National Cathedral of Ghana there. Now, the National Cathedral Secretariat, in their response, they are saying that it's their agent's address. They use an agent, and the requirement is that the agent should have an office in DC, and that is a holding place. And that is what you find at number 7 of the incorporation document. And I'm saying that that is a fraudulent claim. It's deceptive. It is an untruth. If you come to number 7 of the incorporation document, it is not the Washington, D.C. address. So even if you claim that that Washington, D.C. address is not for you, it's for your agent, it's for your attorney who registered on your behalf.
There's an agent who, when he or she receives correspondences, forwards them to the attorney. So the attorney is the number 7. So this is not the attorney's address. The Washington is not the attorney's address.
Yes.
But that's the holding address. And the holding address then sends. So I don't know if you've seen the second press release from the National Cathedral, the one dated 4th of May 2023. Okay. In that one, they actually have added as appendices some documents, some correspondence between the Department of the Treasury, the Internal Revenue Service, to J. Daniel Beirut. And you would see, no, there's this one, this particular one, to the National Cathedral of Ghana. It's from the Department of Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, as the National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum and Foundation. The 1090 Vermont Avenue, Washington address is actually there. It's there. So there's correspondence between the IRS and the states. And then that particular
that IRS document, I actually put it out first.
Okay.
I put it out first.
Okay.
Probably if you allow me to just go through the discoveries that I made here, and then we'll come to their responses. So first is that at the 1090 Vermont Avenue address, we do not have the National Cathedral of Ghana there. They don't have an office there. Second discovery. So I applied formally for the articles of incorporation and all annual reports, if they have filed, from the relevant authorities. I hold here copies of the response and the certificate of authenticity from Rebecca Janovich, dated 27th March 2023 at 7:11 p.m. This is to certify that they attach is a true and correct copy of the documents for this entity as shown by the records of this office, National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation. So I do know by this certificate that I have obtained very authentic documents from the government of the District of Columbia, Department of Licenses and Consumer Protection, the Corporations Division. When you go through the articles of incorporation, it has emerged that none of the clergy who serve on the board of trustees here are part of that incorporation that has taken place in the United States of America. And I did make that point forcefully in the article that I put out. You notice that in Ghana, the board of trustees is made up of all of these respected clergy. However, what they've done in the United States of America departs from that. Now, you have to bear in mind that this is now presented as a national project. Since the 18th of July 2019, it has been incorporated as such. Our Attorney General is now secretary to the board. So this is now a national project based on those articles of incorporation from 2019, even if it did not start as a national project. You will expect that that same trajectory will be followed anywhere, because this is not just a private endeavor where you can just do whatever you want. For good reason, accountability. You are using public funds and all of that. We should know who we will go to account to us on how they are using our taxes. We discovered for the first time that apparently some private citizens, really not known to the incorporation done in Ghana, are those really running the show over there in the United States of America. And the incorporation documents revealed Eric Ochridako, Dr. Vernon Dako.
Not Ochridako.
Ochridako.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
Not Dako.
No, there's Ochre Dakun and there's Vernon Dakun. Yeah, there are two Dakuns.
The two of them are Dakuns.
Yes, there are two Dakuns.
Not related.
Yeah, but the Cathedral Secretariat says they are not related. Now, Dr. Opoku Mensah is the third person there. So these are described as the governors. Now, interestingly, in their response, they say that they had done this before the Attorney General's advice on the 6th of January 2022. It's been more than a year since that advice. They claim that this is an interim arrangement. None of the documents I have, none of the filings I have here show that this is an interim arrangement. They have been operating as such.
Is the reason I said underline maintenance.
Yes. So we are now being told that they will reconstitute this and align it with the Attorney General's advice. But let me do something this morning to show the dishonesty that is at play. The attempt to hide behind a pre-January 6, 2022 advice that we were doing this because we didn't have the Attorney General's advice. That is why we registered this using these people and ignored all the clergy on the board. They put this out with the hope that I do not have a full appreciation of their conduct in the United States of America. Let me reveal to you this morning for the first time that I have secured other incorporations that they have done in the United States of America after the Attorney General's advice. Yes, and they did not follow this advice. So after the January 6, 2022 advice of the Attorney General, which they concede that they would now follow up and do the right thing, they have continued on this trajectory in the states of Illinois and Oklahoma after the advice of the Attorney General. I hold in my hands a second incorporation of the National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum in the state of Illinois. Dated, they filed this the 2nd of September 2022. Will you believe that?
2nd September
2022.
Okay.
And the whole process was
almost
finalized.
10 months after the advice.
And the whole process was finalized on the 2nd of October 2022. And this time, if you go through, I'll share a copy with you. And with all of these documents, I have a testimony from the Secretary of State. You see the signature that this is a certified true copy from the state of Illinois. The president is Dr. Vernon Dakun at 1331 Gemini Street. Secretary is Eric Ochre Dakun. And director is Dr. Opoku Mensah. And this is finalized on the 2nd of October 2022. I also have that of Oklahoma that is even much recent, 12 December 2022, where they registered another National Cathedral of Ghana. In my first expose, I said I was going to do 7 series, but some of these blatant falsehoods is compelling me to bring out a number of these things even before the next episode. But perhaps it's good that I didn't put all of it so that we can now see, clearly the deception at play. So it is now established, I am clear in my mind, that it was deliberate to conduct themselves this way in the United States of America with absolutely no regard to the January 6, 2022 advice of the Attorney General. And when they do that, what the advantage they have is that they evade accountability. You are using private citizens, they are not accountable to us, they are not incorporated in Ghana, they are not part of the National Cathedral of Ghana. legal architecture, legal arrangement. And remember that this is a not-for-profit. They applied that they won't pay taxes, and the IRS responded on the 13th of December 2021, granting them exempt status. So all of the funds they are raising, if you don't have a system of accountability, you don't know who is accountable, you don't have proper structures, corporate governance is not being respected, how do we know how much is being raised in our name, in the name of the people of Ghana? And how do we get them to account for it? So probably the National Cathedral of Ghana Secretariat did not know that we have a fuller picture of what they are doing in the United States of America. So that's the matter to do with the incorporation. Now let me move to Kari Summers. So again, when you go on the website of the National Cathedral of Ghana, a gentleman by name Kari Summers, indeed his full name, after I secured documents in the United States of America, I now know his full name is Kari Lee Summers. He is described as a consultant for the United States of America. Then I need to bring you to this document, and this is really the reason I had to go to the United States, because I saw that we're spending so much money on US operations, so much of Ghanaian taxpayers' money. Because when you go through this document, when we asked them to account for the 339 million in Parliament, they told us in this document that they had paid some money to a group known as the Nehemiah Group, 28.2 million Ghana cedis. That's a
which document?
This is
to Parliament?
Yes, a document by the National Cathedral Secretariat to Parliament. You know, this was in November last year, the 2023 budget approval, when they put in the budget for the first time an allocation of 80 million cedis. So we said before we consider that 80 million cedis request, we want to know the 339 million, with the finance minister told the vote of censure committee has been withdrawn. What did you use it for? We wanted to account for it. So in accounting for it, they brought us this document. And that is how we got to know that we're sending so much money out there to the United States of America. So Kari Lee Summers Nehemiah Group has received this 28.2 million according to their own documents to us in Parliament. So I decided to go there and see what's really happening at the Nehemiah Group, how this Nehemiah Group looks like. Again, the address that is advertised on the website, and viewers can go on the National Cathedral of Ghana website. You see an address, 3119S Scenic Avenue in Springfield, Missouri. So I traveled all the way, went there, and to the shock of my life, that address led me to a warehouse. I didn't see any Nehemiah Group. Warehouse. Ramshackle, dilapidated warehouse. And the inscription I saw was Churchill Coffee Company Limited, warehouse division.
The press release didn't deal with that?
No.
Okay.
It cleverly avoided that. They didn't deal with it. It says Churchill Coffee Company, wholesale division. I was shocked. I had to check my GPS again and all of that, you know. So I decided to go around, assess the building, and you see in the photos, I was even looking at the mailbox and all of, just to be sure. And it was clear that that is the 3119S Scenic Avenue in Springfield, Missouri. Fortunately, as I was assessing the building, Kari Summers pops out of the building, and it was clear to me that really that is the address. Now, this is a gentleman who heads a company that has been given $6 million We are told when you go on the National Cathedral website that contact us. This is our address, Nehemiah Group. I go there, and there is absolutely nothing to do with the Nehemiah Group. But you see, Doc, again, let me do this for the first time on your show. I've obtained a detailed report on Kareli Summers, and I have become more worried about
so before you
his
go
modus
on,
operandi.
just a minute
Yes.
before you go on. Now, a regular viewer in the States,
Yes.
Makojo Buafo,
Yes.
when you started your thing,
Yes.
he just Googled the National Cathedral of Ghana US address.
Yes.
And what he found, Ghana-based info at nationalcathedral.org, Ghana-based address, National Cathedral Secretariat, State House, Accra, Ghana, US-based email, Karisames at nationalcathedral.ghana.org, US-based address, the Nehemiah Group, 3119 South Cynic Avenue, Suite A, Springfield, Missouri 65807.
Yeah.
And then about us, consultant for the United States, Karisames, address, National Cathedral Secretariat, State House, Accra, Ghana, USA Consultants, National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated, 1090 Vermont Avenue, Washington, D.C., 20005.
Yes.
Contact us. So
Yes.
that's what we've put
Yes.
on the screen.
Exactly. Yes.
So this
he's
is
right.
what you find.
Yes.
If you go looking for the address. This is
address.
what we have advertised.
Yes.
And you're saying that when you look at the first one,
Yes.
which is the Nehemiah Group.
Yes.
That's the coffee.
It's a warehouse.
Yes. And then the other one.
The other one, no show.
Okay. So now, if it is indeed a holding address,
Yeah.
and it's supposed to just take correspondence and forward to our attorney, how come the National Cathedral Secretariat advertises a holding address
Yeah.
just for the purposes of receiving correspondence and transmitting same to an attorney as the office of the National Cathedral in the USA?
Brilliant question. Brilliant question. And then also, why is it that in the subsequent incorporations they are doing in other states of the United States of America, they are putting out conflicting addresses? So when they were registering in September in Illinois,
Yes.
they said that the Washington D.C. is the address, the 109. Then when they were incorporating, I'm just done in a second. When they were incorporating the one in Oklahoma,
Yes.
they provided 3119 Cynic South Springfield. And that address will led me to the warehouse. Interestingly, is the same address Dr. Polopoku Mensah is using. Or if you go to all the incorporation documents, all the filings, he uses that same address. He tried to explain
As
it
his
away,
address.
his address. So he and Karisames sharing the same address. At what point did he know Karisames? And at what point did he engage him as consultant? And then release our funds to that person?
Okay. Nana, you want
Nana, you want to say
I'm
something?
sure you went to the right address.
Oh, of course. Of course, I went there. And viewers, this is an international program. Viewers can go
What you
there.
said,
Yes.
the paragraph 5 of their response seems to touch on that. They said that that's the norm, and that rather than being fraudulent, the process is used by thousands of non-profits and businesses. Isn't that what you're referring to?
Yes. So I'm saying that, Nana, so my question is that they say a non-profit organization needs a registered agent in the state of registration. And it's the reason why they use that DC address.
Yeah.
However, if you go to...
So it's like a mailing address.
Yes, but if you go to the website, which somebody, Mark Ojoba from the state was watching us did, it gives you this address.
Yeah.
Which one?
This DC address.
Yeah.
That's what we just showed on the screen. So my question is, if indeed it is a holding address just for the purposes of receiving correspondence, how do you advertise that address as your US address?
And the US address is which one?
The DC one.
No,
the
the
DC
lawyer,
one.
The DC one.
The other documents, the one that's
the articles of incorporation, the lawyer, that's in Oklahoma.
That's the number 7, Oklahoma.
Isn't that the U.S.
That's the lawyer's address.
No, it's not.
No, that's
it's
the
not
lawyer's
used.
address.
It's either the DC one or the Nehemiah one.
Or the Nehemiah
Those
one.
two are used.
Yes.
And now he's even saying that
Missouri.
Yes.
And that's the warehouse.
Warehouse.
Yes.
Where you can buy coffee.
And now
wholesale
what he's
rates.
saying is that even with the 2 other incorporations, one of them used the DC,
Yes.
which is supposed to be the holding.
Yes.
Another one used a different address, not the holding again.
Yes.
Unless maybe we have a second holding.
Incorporations are in which states?
Illinois and Oklahoma.
The Illinois incorporation used the DC address.
Use the DC
Yes.
address, yes. And the Oklahoma address is the 311 Cynic, that is the warehouse. Carrie Summers'
But Sammy, so 1 second. So all of these difficulties with address and offices. So you're saying that it's part of some criminal intent?
Yes.
That's what you're saying?
Yes. And there's a grand scheme to just profit out of this project. They don't want to be accountable, and that's why they are using individuals. Look, I can tell you on authority that there are members of the board of trustees who did not know
About
all of these things.
U.S.
Yes.
United States.
Yes. And they thought that they were part of the U.S. arrangement. They didn't know that they are not part of it.
Were they brought any documents to sign?
But they went for fundraising events.
Yeah, all of them.
Yes.
Not all.
Yes,
some of them.
most of them. And they thought that it's just, a branch. They have oversight authority and all of that. But with what is emerging, these are people who are operating on their own.
Or operating on the supervision of 1 or 2 people.
Yes, and in flagrant disregard of the Attorney General's opinion of January 6, 2022. And as I have proved this morning, long after the Attorney General's opinion, they are still doing this. Business is booming, so they are registering in other states so that people will donate, and they are not accounting to anybody. All of these documents we received in Parliament, at no point have they accounted for U.S. fundraising. I have also found out that in violation of U.S. law, they have not filed any returns. All of these guys, Vernon Dakun, Ochre Dakun, who are receiving these monies, they have not accounted for these monies. Because by May 15th of 2022, they were supposed to file their annual returns. How much? Because all non-profits, you must report how much you have received, how much donations have come in for transparency purposes. They violated the law. They haven't filed. This year, they have also not filed. So
we're yet to get to 15th.
Yes.
They could file before the 15th.
But so far they haven't filed. The records I have. So all of these collections are going on, and they are not filing. Now, yesterday, I put out to me what is even the most dangerous and the most scandalous. So you notice that in this letter, and you see, Dr. Poku-Mensah has created a big problem for those 2 guys. Very, very big problem. If they are not careful, they will end up in jail. Dr. Poku-Mensah writes, says, indeed, it was because of their early and consistent commitment to the National Cathedral project that the Secretariat and not the government suggested they be used to incorporate the foundation. Emphasis here. One of the requirements for the incorporation is to have a U.S. Social Security number. The 2 alleged faceless individuals provided the needed legal documentation to enable the registration to be completed, unquote. Doc, work I have done on the Social Security number that was used for the incorporation of the National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum. That Social Security number belongs to a gentleman called Jose Luis de la Paz, who has many aliases. He's also called Jose Luis Salgado de Paz, LD, and what have you. We are now dealing, though, with a clear case of identity theft. This gentleman died on the 17th of September 2014. The police report I have here indicates that he died at age 31. And US authorities are shocked as to how his social security number is being used after his death, and it has been used to register an entity known as the National Cathedral of Ghana. Now we are being told by Dr. Opoku Mensah that these two guys are responsible.
Did you say you've not seen their release of May 4?
No, I haven't seen that.
Because their release of May 4
yesterday
deals with this specific allegation you made.
Okay.
And they believe that you're mixing up tax IDs with social security numbers. And this is what they say. They say, following the publication of the volume 1 of the so-called bombshells and the National Cathedral's activities in the USA, the MP for Norton and ranking member on foreign affairs in Ghana's parliament, Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, followed up with episode 2 this morning, Thursday, May 4, 2023 at 9 a.m. Titled episode 2 of National Cathedral Scandals, America Edition, it is prefaced once again by such lack of knowledge of the U.S. system. As a Ghanaian, I find it extremely embarrassing to see this expressed by the ranking member of foreign affairs in the country's parliament. The main body of episode 2, however, is the malicious accusation that the National Cathedral is guilty of some serious crime of identity theft in the registration of the National Cathedral Foundation in the USA. In arriving at this so-called identity theft, the MP distorts the information on the registration documents by taking the taxpayer ID number 86-3859197, Appendix 1, and disingenuously changes it to the Social Security number SSN 863-85-9197, belonging to a deceased named Jose Salgado, Appendix 2. He then proceeds to accuse the National Cathedral of using the stolen in quote identity of the deceased to register. For the record, the taxpayer ID number is issued for corporations and is separated by one dash, to wit 86-3859197. This taxpayer ID number is derived from the Employment Identification Number EIN, which is applied for as a first step in the application for a tax-exempt status, see Appendix 3. The Social Security number, on the other hand, is issued to individuals and is separated by two dashes, to wit 863-85-9197. Even if the numbers are the same, because of the dashes, they mean different things. Thus, the taxpayer ID 86-3859197 is not the same thing as the Social Security number 863-85-9197. But this distortion is neither the result of an accident nor of ignorance. It reflects the modus operandi of the MP, Okudzeto Ablakwa. All his so-called National Cathedral scandals, in quote, are distortions of information on the project. As we have consistently argued and repeated in our press release of yesterday, May 3, 2023, the National Cathedral project has been implemented with integrity and with no criminality. As with the recklessly populist and reputationally damaging accusations of the McCarthy era in the USA, the misinformation and distortions of the National Cathedral project will ultimately unravel. The unraveling of the so-called identity theft is just the beginning, and is signed by Dr. Paul Opoku Mensah, and they've added the appendices of all the documents. So there's 1B, 1C, and then an appendix 2, 3, all of that, which shows that there's a tax identification and then the Social Security. So
do they provide the Social Security number they used? You must provide a Social Security number.
Yes.
Do they provide that?
So, yes. So they say that that number,
yes,
that you the number that you used, that the Social Security number is 863
yes
-85
yes
-9197. That is the one that belongs to the deceased person. That's
yes.
what you use.
Yes,
but they're saying that the registration documents, what they have used has just one dash, 86. So that is a taxpayer ID number and not a Social Security number. Yes.
The employer ID number is linked to your Social Security number. You must provide a Social Security number.
Yes.
And what they don't know is that this work is being done by a crack team of lawyers, chartered accountants, private investigators who understand thoroughly the system. they have to provide the social security number they used. I have had a look.
They have provided it.
They have not.
What they have done is to show
it's
that,
just to work with dashes.
It's to show that, yes, but it's true.
Yes.
The social security numbers have 2 dashes.
Yes.
And taxpayer IDs, which are given to corporate entities,
yes,
have 1.
Yes.
And that what you are dealing
Everybody
with
knows
is
that.
a taxpayer ID.
I'm dealing with both. I put out the IRS letter, which has the employer ID number.
Yes.
And I decided to get to the background, the back end, to find out how this was obtained, what social security number was used.
Okay.
And I discovered that the social security number used belongs to Jose Luis de la Paz or Salgado. So I stand by that because
so the point you're making is that you set out after seeing this,
yes, after intercepted
to find
the IRS,
out,
yes, which social security number was used
to incorporate the company.
Yes, to incorporate the company.
And you found out there was this deceased person.
This deceased person, yes.
So you still stand by it?
I still stand by it. I have a police report. I have reports from the IRS. And what they don't know is that formal investigations have commenced into this, because the tax officials have told me that they are shocked.
Are you suggesting that you have official documentation to suggest that it was the deceased person's social security that was used to obtain the tax ID?
Absolutely. Yes.
That's what you're saying?
Yes. Absolutely.
You're sure about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have all the. I'll share some of the documentation with you.
All right. We'll be back shortly.
I have police reports, everything.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Still with me on the show, Nana Komi and Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa. So, Sami, be wrapping up with us so that I can bring in Nana.
So let me emphasize that.
Yes.
I insist that I have reports from IRS, from the police departments, all here, which show the social security number. I challenge the National Cathedral Secretariat to let us have the social security number they use, different from what I have secured, which is in the name of Jose Luis de la Paz, who died on September 17, 2014. Look, nothing is adding up about this cathedral, nothing. Now, let me deal with Carrie Summers. Carrie Lee Summers, who is sharing the same address as Dr. Polo Poku-Mensah. Very, very strange matter. And it raises issues of conflict of interest, insider dealing, and what have you. In their May 2nd statement, they claim that, what we have paid him is less than $1 million. Why are they not being exact? Why are they not telling us the specific amount? Look, it's public funds, so you have paid somebody with public funds, our money, our taxes. Meanwhile, when you came to Parliament, I have the document here. Consultancy services. The Nehemiah Group and Bible Museum of Africa is the same guy. He is in charge of this organization, Carrie Summers. 28,244,716.97. Is this amount less than $1 million? At the time when you work out the exchange rate, this was $6 million.
But this was their own document.
Their own document
that
they brought to Parliament.
Yes. Okay.
I don't know whether they thought that Parliament is just a dumping ground. When you bring your document, we won't interrogate it. It's the same difficulty they had with me when I was asking questions about JNS. You say you have paid somebody for contractors mobilization. Then we ask, where is the contract? What kind of mobilization to do what? Then it opens a can of worms. Apparently it's one of your own on the board of trustees. The same thing here. You present documents. Anytime we ask questions, we delve deeper to really understand what is going on. Then you start telling us different stories. You have told us 28.2 million paid to this Carrie Summers group. He is the CEO, he is the president and CEO of these two entities. Now you are telling us that, less than $1 million. So where is the shortfall? Who is keeping the rest?
They say that The point they make is that.
And in any case, where is the contract with Karisame? Even if it is for a peswa or a dollar, where is the contract? What kind of coordination is Karisame doing that the National Cathedral Secretariat cannot do? And why pay him upfront without performance? I mean, what's going on?
They say that the total fees paid for his consultancy services is less than $1 million. That's what they say here on point 11.
Yes, point 11.
Now, on the document that was presented to Parliament, what do they say there?
28.2 million.
For what?
Consultancy services.
To who?
The Nehemiah Group.
That's him?
Yes.
Okay. So it's 28 million?
Yes.
When was this presented to Parliament?
November
of 2022.
Last year, 2022, yes.
So in November 2022, less than $1 million was 28 million.
That's what it means. That's what they are telling us.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I just can't fathom what's going on.
Okay.
You know, and then you look at the modus operandi of Karisame's doc, as I conclude for Nana to come in. I have a whole dossier on Karisame's, and I am convinced that there's a lot of money laundering going on here. You see this same address, which the now National Cathedral of Ghana registered in Oklahoma is using that address now, and it's the same address Dr. Polopoku Mensah uses. The dossier I have secured on Karisame's, that same address, he's registered so many companies there. So many companies with very interesting names.
The warehouse.
That warehouse. That same warehouse. He has here Churchill Coffee Company. From Abraham to Jesus.
That is the name of a company?
Yes. Yes.
From Abraham
to Jesus. Okay. Yeah. Then he has Treasures of the Holy Land. That same address.
Yes.
Then Nehemiah Group is there. Adventure Legacy and Legends Tourism Development LLC is there. Carrie Lee Summers is there. Galilean Institute, same address.
Yeah.
Churchill Coffee Estate Company.
Yeah.
Churchill Coffee Company LLC. Ezra Management LLC. Out of Africa Coffee Company Limited LLC. Remix Coffee Company. The Nehemiah Group LLC. So Nehemiah Group is registered too. There's one Nehemiah Group LLC. Then he has the Waymakers LLLP.
Okay.
Then he has Summers and Blackstock Property Investment LLC.
Okay.
16 companies, same address.
There's nothing illegal.
No, I haven't said so. But I'm just looking at his modus operandi.
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced. In any case, so far
this is consultancy engineering.
So far we have taken our money, $6 million, and given him all of what they have brought in. What they told Parliament, US fundraising, is less than 1 million Ghana cedis, less than 800,000 Ghana cedis.
What we have received?
Yes, what we have received, 794,990.
That's what we've...
Yes.
From all
of this, after taking our $6 million away and all of that. Yes. All we have got Ghana cedis. What they told Parliament, 794,900. This super guy.
But that's exactly what we spent on the Kempinski.
And that's what, that's...
Kempinski
yes, event. And when they returned, they used it at Kempinski and the money was all gone. So what's going on here?
Maybe Nana knows what's going on.
Randy.
Yes, sir.
Oh, just a quick one. A friend of mine, Emmanuel Abekwe,
yes,
who's actually run an NGO in the States, he says that on the matter of the taxes,
yes,
he says that NGOs are required to file taxes, but they are not required by law to file every single year.
Okay.
Yeah, that you can postpone it if need be due to all kinds of sections. But I mean, obviously, Sammy's done a lot of work. I suspect he went to the wrong address.
No.
I'll leave that for the cathedral, this warehouse thing.
No, this is the address. Oh, that man came out. You didn't see the photos.
He came out.
That's where they speak about the derogatory remarks on the cycling attack.
You know, I just described that. So I said whilst I was there.
There's a picture of him.
So you met Karisame.
Yes, I met Karisame.
And he was going cycling.
Yes, he came out. So
he confirmed that was his address.
Yes, confirmed.
And he confirmed it was a warehouse.
Let's put a picture out there. Let's see.
It's a warehouse. It's there.
That's it.
There's a post. There's a signage, a post on his door. Churchill Coffee Company, wholesale division.
It was a warehouse.
Yes, a warehouse.
That's it.
So did you go in and have coffee?
No. I didn't say okay, because you see, that was the first day of my operation, so I didn't want alarm to blow them around, so I didn't even talk to him.
Obviously, Sammy's done a lot of work, you know. And if it bears, all of it bears out to be true, then you get a lot of credit for this work that you've done. But I'm sure the cathedral too will come out. But so where is it going to end? I mean, all these accusations and counter accusations.
Well, I filed a motion for a parliamentary probe. The speaker admitted it, so we are just waiting to have the debate, and then the committee will be set up. Yeah,
because there are too many strands. I mean,
the TUC says it should be converted to a national hospital.
The TUC,
yes, admitted. It says it should be converted into a national hospital. Yeah.
So there are all these issues. I mean, I disagree with the TUC. Okay. So, I mean, I think that the idea of a national cathedral is a good one. The worry that many Ghanaians have is the way we are going about the use of public funding. Because I've always made the point that one single place where we can have major national events, funerals, Thanksgiving services, and so on, it's a good idea. That place, the rich area, we've given many of those lands to private individuals putting up commercial property. So if we can take some of the property and put up an edifice to God for major religious events, there's no problem. But I believe that
how do you think God will be feeling about this?
I'll be blaspheming if I attempt to.
No, based on what you know about him and his views on David building a temple for him and the reasons he gave, how do you think he will feel? God will feel about this?
If Samuel Okudzeto's hypothesis that the whole thing is accompanied by fraud and insider dealing and conflict of interest, of course, even me, I'll be happy with it. Not even to talk about God. But and you see, I believe that the Christian religious leaders, what they've done on their own, the Duncan Williams, Doug Heward Mills, the other chap with the afro hair, Ajolu. Ajinasari. I don't want to mention titles because Ajinasari.
Isudanaba.
I don't know what he's done, but obviously, so he's also a big church.
He left Accra and set up from
You should see his Bolga.
So these gentlemen, what they've done on their own, without state support, just leveraging the contribution of congregations and fundraising, what they've done, if they are put together, they can build this cathedral. Understand what Mr. Heward Mills has done and what is done in my constituency at Kadesh. It's a city.
Kodesh.
It's a city. But I thought what is done at
I went there.
area. After Abri.
Yes, I went there. That's the Anakazo. Yes, I've been there.
You've been there.
Yes.
So I understand it's something that.
And you remember his resignation letter. He said they won't listen to him. They won't take his input.
So, and then Duncan Williams.
Yes.
Then Otabel.
Yes.
So what they've done. I mean, this Anakazo, I'm sure it's bigger than this cathedral.
A land size, yes.
So if we put them together, this is good. The state is giving its contribution in the land. But these gentlemen coming together, so I am worried about this involvement of state funds into it. And it's obviously the use of state funds that has brought all of these difficulties that Samuel Okudzeto is championing. I don't think it's too late for us to look at re-engineering the whole funding and get these individuals, give them all the support, put the state machinery behind them, and let them build this thing for us. Because the times are not even good. I mean, we are in the middle of a debt crisis. Through whatever cause, COVID, whatever, we're in a crisis. And so we don't have a lot of money to be spending on things like this at the moment. And we have individuals with a track record, a proven track record, done the structures, and they are there, who I believe should be allowed, if they're given a proper state backing to do this. But Samuel Okudzeto has raised issues that are very damning, and the cathedral obviously will respond. But are we going to end up having this call and response thing? I'm happy that you said Parliament is going to be seized of the matter, so we can have one forum, because of it involves public funding, taxpayers' monies. We can have one forum where all the issues will be canvassed, and if there are any lessons to be learned, we'll learn those lessons and move forward on this cathedral project. That's what I have to say.
Okay. So some two quick comments from some of our viewers. Daisy says, please, does Ghana still have a mission in the USA? Why are we unable to use the mission address for a national project? Do we have an ambassador?
2 missions, in fact.
Is the embassy involved in this project? Well, I don't know. Now, the Reverend Akron Mensah, he says that, my regards to Honorable Ablakwa and Honorable Nana Kumiam. Says I equal to Honorable Ablakwa. Then he goes on to say, a special purpose vehicle is comprised of a legal entity created by the sponsor or originator, typically to fulfill a temporary objective of the sponsoring firm. This SPV offers continuing operations for the sponsoring firm. So clearly, 1, the SPV, the old, a substructure must exist before the new. 2, why should the SPV, National Cathedral USA, be registered in 2021 after the National Cathedral of Ghana that started 2017-2018? The implications are that 1, the USA registration was an afterthought, and 2, for a different purpose. This is odd. Unless the National Cathedral SPV has a function that I don't know. It says in Christianity, the Old Testament serves as an SPV for the New Testament. The Old Testament came before the New Testament to fulfill the objective of the Old Testament. So that is the Reverend.
But who sets up the SPV? The parent company.
Yes.
So what's the problem he's talking about?
No, he says that the SPV is set up, a special purpose vehicle is set up just for temporary
for special purpose.
Yes.
Yeah,
and it's normally temporary.
Yes.
Yes.
And so what's his problem?
His problem is that it could not have been a special purpose vehicle. That is an afterthought.
Why?
Operating for more than
why? Why is he saying so?
Because he says that it says unless it is for a purpose other than the same purpose that the National Cathedral has been set, he doesn't get it.
Cathedral.
And the maintenance of it. Yes. I'll underline the maintenance.
Raise funds and maintenance.
Yes, that's what is there. And the maintenance of it.
Yeah. That's the purpose.
So clearly that's not interim.
In their own document. That's why I said, look at page 1.
Yeah.
Page 1, go to 4. The highlighted part. No, 4. Yes, the 4.
To raise funds to support the construction.
Yes, and yes.
That is long term.
Yes. That's why when I read, I said underline maintenance.
Yeah.
Underline maintenance. Yeah. You will maintain once you have completed.
Yeah. And it's been 2 years already. And you admit that the Attorney General's opinion is against what you are doing.
He says that the special purpose vehicle should have preceded the what?
No, he's saying it's an afterthought. This explanation that is a special purpose vehicle is an afterthought. That's what he's saying.
The explanation that he's talking about.
Yes, the explanation.
Not the setting up.
No, the explanation.
All right. So let me do this quickly. Today, Dr. Tony Obin, former CEO of the Minerals Commission, who's also a member of the Executive Council of the GFA, you've been called to the bar today. So congratulations to you, Dr. Tony Obin, on your call to the bar today at the Accra International Conference Center. Now, today is also the birthday of a former MP for Medina, the Honorable Amadou Sorogo.
Oh, Sorogo.
Yes. Today is Honorable Alhaji Amadou Sorogo's birthday.
What's he doing now?
So happy birthday to you.
It's your council of...
it's also the birthday...
the communication team.
There's one man whose wife, sister and mother share the same birthday. His wife's sister and mother share the same birthday. So his mother is Angela Usu. His sister is Lovia Atichogbe. And his wife is Yvonne Welbeck. And they are all celebrating their birthday today. That's famous Atichogbe. a former producer of Good Morning Ghana. Yeah. And then, Golden Jubilee for you, Mrs. Beauty Clue. You are 50 today. So I'm happy golden anniversary to you, Mrs. Beauty Clue. Happy 50th birthday from your daughter, Poshaya Clue. And of course, your entire family. So a happy golden anniversary to you. So Nana, thanks. I hope you're back for good.
We'll see.
Oh, what kind of
we'll talk about it over.
What kind of cathedral answer is that? So I'll see you up next. Metro Sports.
Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo